Hello everyone and welcome to another custom figure showcase. So today I'm going to be showing you something that is actually one of the simplest and easiest customs that I've probably ever done. I say one of because there are several, but this is a more screen accurate gold Dalek. Now just before people start typing away, I'm aware that there are still some inaccuracies on this, most notably the 2-tier version of the base, which you would normally have on this Dalek. Unfortunately, I didn't have one of those spare, so I couldn't add it on, and I'm sure there are one or two more as well. But basically, all I've done for this, and I say basically because it's literally the only things I've done, is I have replaced this silver ball socket. I've replaced the gold ball socket with a silver one, just from another Dalek. I've not repainted that or done anything. I've literally just taken the old one out and put a different one in. And then the neck rings, all I've done is use a gold Sharpie to paint them over in gold paint. And that's it. And that's not much of a custom figure showcase, I appreciate, because I've not done a lot to it, but it leads me onto something which I want to raise. And I am calling out, I believe it's character options that make this. I think it says on the bottom, which way up? That way up. Character options limited, so yeah, so it's character options. I know Underground Toys, same thing, but they kind of are the same thing. They're different departments of the same company, blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm calling them out on this. Why was this not done in the factory? Now, I know that people are going to say, oh well, these things cost, it costs money to produce new molds, and it takes more time and things like that. But genuinely, this wouldn't, and I will explain to you my reasons why. This silver ball is a mass-produced part, as is the other gold one, but this is a mass-produced part. If anything, because the gold ones aren't used very often, should be technically more of these mass-produced than the gold ones, which means that this is taken from any other Dalek. I've not had to repaint it. There's not need any new painting. There's not need any new molding, anything like that. It is a silver ball from any other Dalek. So why could they not just take the time, instead of fitting a gold one, to fit a silver one? I don't understand that, first of all. That's because, again, it wouldn't take any extra time, because it would basically it would take the same amount of time to fit a silver one as it would a gold one. There is no reason why that's not been done. Secondly, the neck rings. Now, again, all I've done here is paint them gold, and I have to question again, why is that not done in the factory? And again, I know people say, oh, it could take extra time to paint it, but if anything, actually, I think this would take less time, because each of the individual vertical struts, when you look at these neck rings close up, they are individually painted. They're not, there's actually, you can see where the paint marks are, that they have been individually painted over the black plastic. So it leads me to wonder, one, why can't they just mould it out of gold plastic? However, I appreciate that probably would be not very cost effective, so let's gloss over that. That might be the reason why. But it makes me then wonder, why can they not just paint the whole thing? Whether it's done by hand, as somebody standing there with a can of spray paint, or whether it's done on a machine, why can they not paint the entire neck rings gold? And lastly, the base. Now, again, I'm supposed to have a 2-tier base in here. I didn't have one spare, but as we have seen, the mold exists. There are other Daleks that have the 2-tier base. Why is that not on this Dalek? Now, I appreciate that this is something that sounds a bit weird to say, but I genuinely want to call out character options, Underground Toys, whoever it is on this, and ask them why. Because as far as I can see, it would not cost more for them to do it, because they don't need to make any new molds. They don't need to pay any more for the production, because it's basically the same production, different parts. There literally would be no difference between what they do now and what they do if they made these changes, with the exception that there would be different parts in different places. That would not cost any more. It would not mean people had to add extra things in. It's literally just swapping one mass-produced part over for another mass-produced part. And then things like the neck rings, again, they're individually painted, so it's already proof that they are being painted by machine or by hand, I don't know which, but they are already having to take the time out to paint them. Just paint them all overall, and then it looks better. It looks more accurate. Why is this not being done? Because as far as I can see, there is no logical reason, one of time, one of money, why this is not being done in the factory. So yes, character options, Underground Toys calling you out on this. Why is this not being done? Because ultimately, something like this is something that the fans would pay for because it looks better. It would look more accurate to what we see on screen, and you probably find that it would be more popular, because when maybe not the small children or younger people who play with them and don't know the classic series, but the older of us who remember the classic series or bits of it, or even older than me who have seen this story, they will pick up on things like this instantly. And it has to be said, recently there have been discussions that I have been part of that people are losing faith. The reason that we're not getting as many 5-inch sets is because people are losing faith in the range because they don't believe they're being produced to a high quality. Now this might be an example of this, because this is a great high quality figure. I'm not going to dispute that for the second, but this is to me a perfect example of where character options, Underground Toys, are cutting corners for the sake of making them. Just make these small changes and suddenly the figure will be so much better praised and it will be so much more valued because it looks like what we get on screen. Okay, I appreciate that this was more of a bit of a mini rant as such than a custom figure showcase, but it was a custom figure showcase that I feel validated a point. You know, I'm really pleased with how this has turned out as a custom, because, you know, as I said, all I've had to do is literally change some parts and do a little bit of sharpening up, and suddenly I've got something that looks really good. But the main point of this custom figure showcase, as I said, was calling out character options. Tell me, why aren't things like this done in the factory when they can be so easily done at home by somebody in less than 10 minutes? As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, favourite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. Please check out the link below to support my Patreon. There will be exclusive content coming to that soon. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.